Which is better, atheism or theism? Even better question, how do you define the word better? Today we're talking about valuations, the fourth of the big seven supernatural phenomena that we all exhibit every day. As mentioned in our prior video, traditional morality would be invalid without God. But morality is a subset of the broader category of valuations, which we would also lose if naturalism were true. Valuation is the notion that some things are inherently better than others. Valuation seeks to discern the real value of things or events and to rank them as more or less desirable than other things or events. If naturalism were true, then everything would be physics, limited to the forced mechanics of the physical universe. But the universe cherishes nothing. It judges no item or outcome to be any better or any worse than any other. This leaves atheists with a problem. There is no way to define the word better from within physics. If naturalism were true, we would lose, completely and for all time, the concepts of better and worse. By itself, nature is nothing more than an ongoing math equation. Math has symbols for is equal to, is not equal to, is more than, and is less than, but it has no symbol for is better than or is worse than. From inside of nature, there is only what is or what isn't. There is no what should be. As David Hume observed, you can't derive an ought from an is. Nature can produce events that are closer to some stated goal, but it can't assign real value to that goal. Nature says only the bullseye was hit or the bullseye was not hit. It cannot say it is better to hit the bullseye. The natural conditions of the universe are friendlier to some outcomes than others, but that merely makes the outcome more common. It does not make it better or more valuable. Ultimately, this means that many atheists believe that a worldview that can't define the word better is better. To say a thing is actually better or worse requires a non-physical standard that nature can't supply. Without God, or at least something outside of nature to define an objective value scale, all valuations would be reduced to likes and dislikes, mere status reports from the brain's personal preference mechanism. Such statuses would vary from brain to brain and even contradict each other, and none of them would be any more correct than any other. Without this supernatural standard, even such positive-sounding concepts as growth or progress would have no objective definition, and therefore no real value. There would be no valid reason to prefer progress over, say, the extinction of the human race. If all life were to end, physics wouldn't even notice, let alone grieve. Without supernature, we would be stuck, because a thing doesn't become objectively valuable simply because a valueless clump of animated matter happens to think highly of it. The atheist who assigns value to anything at all is practicing a religion he hasn't recognized. If atheism were correct, then any value we assign would simply be a mistake. A thing you love would have no more real value than a thing you detest. In that case, nothing would have value, not you, your life, other people, or even your own children. I once saw an interview with a woman who graduated from atheism to Christianity when she held her newborn child. Though this strikes us as unscientific, this woman brought to that encounter unusual intellectual integrity and clarity. She understood deeply that accepting atheism requires that everyone, including the baby in her arms, was nothing but a temporarily animated glob of physical material. She understood that atheism assigns people no more or less value than it does a salami sandwich, or nothing at all. She looked at her baby and knew she was not holding a mere clump of squirming chemicals. You might dismiss her conclusion as unscientific, because it is, but it's far from irrational, which is precisely why she was able to discern a truth that science can never teach us. When we follow atheism to its logical conclusion, we find the emergency room nurse has the same value as the suicide bomber, none at all. The same is true for relieving pain. If the sufferer has no inherent value, how is sparing him from the perception of suffering better? Same for the biological circumstance that we call good health, and comfort, and wealth, and nutrition, and safety, and happiness, and any other measure you'd care to use. Unless the experiencer has real value from outside the universe, there's no basis for assigning value to anything he or she experiences. But we do have value, and we all know it. But this is only true because we are supernatural beings currently immersed in a physical experience. So here's today's takeaway. The universe cherishes nothing. If there are such things as real value or better and worse, they don't come from nature. Thanks for spending 5 minutes and 39 seconds of your valuable life with me. See you next time.